galaxy is burning. Brother fights brother, and treason splits the Imperium of Man. This is the Age of Darkness. Welcome to the Remembrancers Retreat, coming to you from within the depths of the Vengeful Spirit.
Nothing. I was just looking to paint. So the two Warhounds that I bought and built and primed for Adepticon 2020.
For Adepticon. That which never was.
I finally started painting them. And they're almost done, which is, well, the engine part. I haven't painted the weapons yet. But the Titans themselves are almost done. But I was looking I couldn't find my lead belcher. It's because it was over.
I thought you had made the mistake of putting lead belcher on when you thought it was a different paint.
No.
Because I've done that before with my Night Lords. I painted up a Night Lord's chaplain, and I was like, oh, fuck, this guy's so cool. All right, well, he's completely finished. Time to varnish him.
No.
Hey, wait a second. Why is he silver? Look at the can in my hand. It's lead belcher.
You fucked up.
Classic mistake.
At that point, melt the model and cry.
Yep. There's nothing else you
had
can
to start. Luckily, I had a copy of every piece that I used to build him, so I just made him again.
He would have been dead to me. I couldn't have done it.
Painstakingly repainted. Well, the other guy did get broken down and tossed in the dip.
Into the dip.
Because I can't have this confectioner's sugar looking chaplain. I was so mad.
Well, time to put him in a snow base and you're good to go.
It was. I wish. Well, see, if I had started from the top and just sprayed him from the top, then that could have gone. But instead, I started like face into the paint, so just his whole front is silver, and the rest of him is beautifully zenith highlighted blue.
You hate to see him come, but you love to see him leave.
Fuck. No mercy whatsoever.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Remembrancers Retreat.
Yep, a Horus Heresy podcast where we're just kicking it back on a Saturday afternoon.
We're just dicking around.
I'm in the walk-in closet of my apartment, and here we are.
Yep. Who are you?
I'm Jesse, and I'm with Steven and Austin. Not in the walk-in closet with me.
No, that'd be a little crowded. And there is still a pandemic. Vaccines or no.
We can make it work. We can make it work.
But we'll put several layers of coats between us.
Hopefully two thin coats.
I'm trying out my mobile podcasting station. It seems to be working out okay.
Yeah,
the mobile for when Caro gets tired of you and puts you in the closet.
No, she's just enjoying movie night with some friends. So
you're not going anywhere else with it. That's for
right.
Damn sure.
But today we're going to talk a little bit about everything.
But mostly the greatest game that Games Workshop has ever made.
Adeptus Titanicus?
Adeptus Titanicus, since, nobody technically plays Warmaster.
Epic was a better game than Warmaster. I'll die on that hill.
Well, nobody plays either, so I guess it works out.
Hey, how's that Eldar treating you?
I haven't played with them.
That's fair.
Well, I blame a pandemic for that. You were well on your way.
It's true. It's true. I've made too many Wraithguard. There's 4,000 points of Wraithguard alone. I've made a mistake. I mean, I didn't really make a mistake, per se. I just can't use all of them in a single game and win.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Wraithguard are distressingly good.
Okay, well,
Macro
you
weapons,
heard it.
Man.
You're going to do it to yourself then. Here comes 4,000 points of only Wraithguard. No Avatar, no Wraithgate, no bikes, no Fire Prisms, Wraithguard.
Oh yeah, if you want to lose a game that way, you lose a game that way. Don't let me stop you.
Looking forward to getting juiced on vaccine so we can throw down
get
finally
on my level, nerds.
Instead of yelling at each other from the internet.
Yes, well, I mean, if there's one thing we've learned is that 90% of the internet is yelling at each other. Actually, 90% of the internet is porn. 10%, the other remaining 10% is yelling at each other.
Like, this is what my people do, right? Nerds yell at each other on the internet. It's what happens.
Yeah.
You don't believe me? Go look at that Cursed City box thread. Literally enemies.
Oh,
Let's not
God.
talk about that. You know what we can talk about, though? The Warmaster Titan.
Yeah, we can. Look at that segue.
Because I'm actually
professional.
I've got it. It's just slightly out of reach, so I got to take off my headphones to go get it. But we can look at the cards.
I mean, I don't have to look at the cards. I got the weapon chart.
Yeah, I got that sexy weapon chart in the Loyalist Legio PDF from Warhammer Digital. Here he comes. Throwing on those headphones. Sitting down. Here he comes. There he is.
This is a chonky box. It's boy, these pieces look. Holy shit, man! This is gonna look good once I've finished it. So every Titan has, either the Eye of Horus or some form of collegiate Titanica or an Aquila, like on one of their armor plates, right? Mm-hmm. So you can make them, you can denote their allegiance.
Yeah.
The Aquila and the Eye on this Warmaster plating is way more detailed than the stuff on the Warlord or the Reaver.
When you say detailed, like more ornate, or
yeah, so I'm gonna take a picture of it and send it to you so that the two of you may bask.
Listeners at home are gonna love that.
Yep. If you're a patron, then we will have this episode beamed directly into your frontal lobe, and you'll be able to experience.
I can't make promises like that.
That's okay. You're not. I am.
Yeah. I walk away for 2 minutes, and suddenly you're talking about beaming things into people's frontal lobe. Don't do that.
Ooh, all right. Okay. I see the Eye of Horus.
The Eye of Horus has a pupil, and like the eye itself is a cog.
Yeah.
It's so cool. This is neat.
And the Aquila has that. The Aquila has a almost like 1940s U.S. aesthetic to it. I gotta say,
it looks like the first thing I thought when I looked at it was like, man, this is like World War II war bonds illustration. Just individual feathers are drawn.
Yep. The eagles have eyes. They both have pupils.
Oh yeah, that's weird. Huh? That's not supposed to be that way.
All right.
So it comes with. So as you may know, listeners, the Warmaster is able to mount in its shoulders weapons that Warhounds and Reavers mount on their arms. And judging from the sprue, it looks like...
Reavers or Warhounds?
It can mount some Reaver weapons. I think it mounts specifically the Melta Cannon is the Reaver weapon that it mounts.
Okay.
But it can mount all of the Warhound guns, except, insofar as we know, the Volkite. Which, if you are unaware, Warhounds are getting Volkite guns. Welcome to April of 2021. But it looks like the sprue comes with the laser blasters and the Hellstorm cannons right off the bat, in addition to the missile launchers. So you don't have to necessarily build straight into missile launcher plasma Warmaster. You can do the laser blasters or the Flamestorm cannon if you want, which is good, because the laser blaster is probably one of the Warlord's Warmaster's best ways to put some ranged fire down until it gets in range with its big plasma guns. Because, as probably befitting a siege titan, this thing does not have a whole lot of long range weaponry.
Yeah, it's meant to run up and give you a bad time.
Yeah, well, waddle up and give you a bad time. I don't think this thing's running anywhere.
That's true. Although
here's some cool,
decent range.
Yeah, I mean, I have the cards right here. But comes with a Warlord base. Interestingly enough.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Huh.
Kind of. Well, maybe not approximately. Maybe not exactly a Warlord base, but pretty damn close. It might be slightly wider.
Oh, damn it, man! What is it?
I mean, I don't know. I can't just immediately know millimeters by looking at them.
Look, you've been a gamer long enough that you really should.
Does it have its own template?
No. It's a Warlord base. Now that you mention it, because of that particular detail. Yeah, it's a Warlord base, so it's going to be kind of crowded on its base. Probably not a whole lot of room for base decoration outside of, standard sand, grass, rubble, and dust kind of look, which is a shame because its legs are so big and so thick that you're probably not going to be able to put ruins on the base like a lot of people do for some of their smaller titans like Reavers.
Just have it crushing those ruins.
But, I mean, that's not bad. At least you won't have to worry about a different kind of arc, like Jesse said. Well, I was about to say something else before Jesse asked about that. Here's the terminal. So it comes with its own little transfer sheet with Gryphonicus and Mortis iconography. It's got some new little marks on there. Crossed maces, which I'm guessing is the tactical marking for a Warmaster. Or possibly...
Yep.
I wonder if the Warbringer just has one mace, right? Because like a Reaver has one axe and a Warlord has two. And this is...
Ooh. I don't know off the top of my head.
I would have to look at a Warbringer transfer sheet. So... the terminal that it comes with is much like the Warbringer itself. It's not the fancy... I'll try and hold this away from the mic while I open it. It's not the fancy cardstock that came with the Grandmaster Edition or that comes in the boxes.
So it's thin sheet.
Yeah, it's a thin sheet, but, it's not so bad. It'll hold up. I don't imagine that anyone is going to have so many Warmasters in their collection that they're going to need a box of Warmaster terminals. And the fact that the Warmaster even comes with a terminal is really nice. Here's the instructions, which that's like a car owner's manual.
Yeah, I imagine there's a few pieces on that thing.
It's almost as thick as the manual for my 1998 Honda Civic. Here's all the cards. Yep. Revelator missile launcher, plasma blast gun, turbo lasers. Yeah. The longest range weapon that a Warmaster has is indeed, well, other than the Revelator missile launcher, is the turbo laser destructors at 32 inches. Melta cannon's only at 16 inches, which, oof.
I mean, that's 24. It's just it's taking into account the downward angle.
Yeah. So speaking of which, a lot of people on the internet, at least, and some people here in our community, have kind of looked at the Warmaster and said, it's too big to be able to use effectively at close range, because, you're not going to be able to level all of those extra weapons at your target. Anything within 12 inches is going to be really hard to actually do damage to because it's inside that minimum range. But what a lot of people overlook is that those are the rules for carapace weapons, and all of the Warmaster's shoulder weapons are specifically not carapace weapons.
Yep, special.
They are special. Which means that they have no minimum range. Which means that if you run up a Warhound on somebody's Warmaster thinking, ha, I'm within 12 inches, there's only so much it can do to me. It's going to do way more than so much.
The shoulders.
Yeah, I mean, there is only so much. You're missing out on the missile launcher. That'll really help.
Yeah, I mean, that Revelator missile launcher is... It's mean.
Not screwing around, but also a Warhound is going to be annihilated because
it's in range of 2 shoulder-mounted Melta cannons. 2?
I mean, the Apocalypse
most of the
missile
time,
array followed by the Plasma Destructor is a dead Warhound. Just end of story.
Yep.
I was doing a thought, like I was having some thoughts on this, and the Plasma Destructor, right? That's the main weapon. 16-inch short, 30-inch long. +1 at short range, 3 shots, strength 11. And you think, well, that's not huge because it's only 3 shots. So, strength 11 sucks, but it's also fusion and maximal fire.
Oof, yeah. And strength 11 does not suck. That's 1 point weaker than a Bellicosa.
It is. It's really the turnoff for me. Like when I just saw like that half the stat was that it's just 3 shots. Because I think to myself, okay, like there's 6 of them total, and then if you're trying to do like the math in your head of like you need to do 4 damage, like 4 crits on a clean Titan to kill it, right? That's sort of the math that goes on in my head. But fusion and maximal fire just means it's always going, like every one of those is going to be a crit. Yeah. Just every one.
And its reactor is so robust that you can fusion that and maximal fire all 6 shots and be in relatively good condition.
Yeah.
And even if you push it so far into the red that you go over, right, and you take that strength 9 hit to the body damage starts at 13. There's only a 50-50 chance that it's even going to hurt.
Right? Nobody cares.
Yeah, it does seem to have a pretty robust, I guess, 12
this
to 15 for detonation on the body. A 16 for detonation. Strength 9.
It's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 reactor tracks, 3 of which are green, 2 of which are yellow. So, you've got to go through 5 rolls of the reactor dice, 3 if you do it really poorly, before you even get into the orange and start having problems.
Yeah, although I will say, as much as it can run hot and not be worried about damaging itself that way, a big bitch like this losing her shields because her voids like collapse because you're like that just.
Oh yeah, just
like,
because she
so
can run hot doesn't mean you should run that hot. And when Austin says so many shields, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shields, 7 shields really for the X.
How many clades does it have? Servitor clades?
6. 6 servitor clades.
Damn. Man, I might keep this for my Storm.
Yeah, it's so
because it's whenever my shields pop, I can immediately roll my clades and on 5 and 6 get shields immediately back.
So the
that's so dumb.
So the Warmaster Titan shows up actually in the Siege of Terra book Mortis. It's a whole like maniple, I think of 5 of them, just walking towards the wall. And when they're described, it mentions that they, unlike other Titans, their void shields and their weapons run off 2 different reactor systems.
Oh.
So it can continually recycle voids and keep power fed to them without sacrificing anything to its guns, which in game terms means that the Warmaster, with its command of 3 up, can just keep emergency repairing and hurling out hate.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
because that's 6 servitor clades at +1 to the roll for emergency repair, right?
Well, no, because that doesn't. I don't get any extra bonuses for that emergency.
Well, even if you're not running a Storm, right? Even if you're not running a Storm or the Urdeshi Legio, which I can't remember its name,
or any of the DIY Legios,
Secondary 6 servitor clades, and then you fire your guns, and then the repair phase rolls around later, or rather, and then you do another 6 servitors,
and then I get to re-roll 2 of my repair action dice per repair action.
Yeah, because it's so big.
Because
the scale is so huge.
What's the scale? 12 or 10? I mean, 12. I know it's 12. I mean,
so
anything 10 or higher, I get to re-roll 2 repair action dice.
As a Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's think about that for a second. With just not even a Stormborn, just a regular old Warmaster. You've finally done it. You dropped its shields with your last shots of the shooting phase. New round comes up. The thing emergency repairs. It rolls 6 dice, needing a 5 to respark voids. So statistically, it resparks voids and gets 2 shields back before you have a chance to shoot at it again. Without
it takes
anything
a
else.
lot to kill this
and then
thing.
if you haven't first fired or anything, it gets a repair phase, knock 2 more shields on for just the regular repair phase, and does that bring it back to the 3-up? 5 shields?
No, at 5 shields, you're still in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you're still at a 4-up. Which, side
thank
note,
God,
this thing only has 3-ups and 4-ups. It never degrades below a 4-up.
I mean, that's pretty standard.
So you're gonna need Shield Bane to bring this thing's shields down.
That's wild. You will need Shield Bane.
It has 4 shields at 3-up. 4 shields. Yeah. And again, it has such a huge reactor track that pushing to reroll 1s ain't even no thing.
Yeah, you're really, there's no the only reason not to do it is if you have like one thing trying to shoot you. You took 1 hit from something and you just want to be spiteful about it.
Yeah. And I'm sure this ancillary reactor, at some point, there's going to be a shield thing for it. Because right now, there's the infusive supercoolant, which lets you cool down super fast, and there's the plasmatic locomotors, which makes you go fast. But I can't imagine that there won't be a superpowered shield thing where, like, I don't know, did your shields break? Cool. Activate this, get all of them back right now.
Yeah.
Which just, oof. Ugh. I love it.
Can't wait to see you build it. It's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, well, I've got about a week before I got to go to Washington, so I suspect I should probably get most of it done by then. It shouldn't take me a week to build this thing.
Yeah,
but I say that all the time. Well, this won't take me a week. 2 weeks later, hey, cool, I started now.
Hey, man, I thought those hounds would get painted in a week, and it's been a year and 2 months.
Yeah, well, there were extenuating circumstances. Yeah. Now the what else do we get? Not only is the reactor track big, the void shield track is big. Its damage track is big too. Its head, its body, and its legs, and its critical tracks all have 1 extra point compared to a warlord.
Oh wow!
And if you've been playing this game for any amount of time, you know that a warlord doesn't go down easy. I mean, unless you're doing
if you're not aiming at a warlord,
like super shenanigans.
Yeah, if you're not aiming from the beginning at a warlord, you're probably not going to kill it.
Now, the Warmaster does have a couple of drawbacks. The first being its price. It's 850 points just for the body. That's not taking the guns or although this is nice, the ancillary reactor is free. You don't have to pay points for that.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. But the cheapest weapon, 850 plus weapons. So
850 plus weapons, so 9. Yeah, so it's going to be over 1,000 points.
Yeah, it's 900 points just alone just to take a Revelator missile launcher on it, and you probably should because it's cool.
And then
because the Revelator is 50 points, and then each
Caesarian plasma destructor is 70. So
70.
140 on top of that. Mm-hmm. You want a couple of the armpit weapons, right? Mm-hmm. Throw another plasma blast gun, right? Throw another 80 points for 2 of those.
Yeah, I mean,
just have a friend maker pattern on your shoulders.
So here's a question: do you have to take weapons if they can fill the slot?
No, you can go without weapons.
That's where I thought
You probably have to take arm weapons, but carapace and shoulders you can probably go without.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the shoulder weapons aren't paired. You can take a mix and match,
which I do like.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, so
it's a nice nod.
Like the plasma blast gun on both shoulders sounds cool, but you could also put a mega bolter and a plasma blast gun in your shoulders, and again, you are walking around with a tiny Titan on your shoulders, blowing everybody up.
I'd almost want to go Mega Bolter Melta-Cannon for the shoulder mounts.
I'm about it. I kind of wish that it had been released, since we know that Volkite weapons are coming. I kind of wish that they had put Volkite available for the shoulders.
Oh, let me play you a tiny violin.
Yeah, for real. But Yeah, the Vulcan Mega Bolter with a Melta-Cannon. So strong. Now, one of the other drawbacks, for me anyway, for the Warmaster is because it's an auxiliary Titan, which means that you can't take it in a maniple, you take it in addition to a maniple. Mm-hmm. You can't put your Princeps Senioris in it, which means that it cannot benefit from any of your personal traits.
Yeah.
Which is, again, tiny violin, but there's some really cool personal traits that would go well with the Warmaster, which is probably why they don't let you do it.
Like, no, please God, no.
Yeah. Because, for example, the Infernus trait that lets you double tap Melta-Cannons or Inferno guns, like, that's the last thing you need, is to roll up on a Warmaster and the Princeps Senioris just, hit you for 3, Melta-Cannon.
Like, I'm going to do it again. I'll do it again.
Yep.
Jesus.
It's so good. I love it. I'm really, really looking forward to putting it on the table. Losing it in the first game because I don't know. I've never played with it before.
Oh, I am going, like, the instant that thing appears on the table, Alea's gonna give it a bad time.
She can try.
She's done dumber things before.
Do we know if the Warmaster can take Volkite?
The Warmaster, as far as we know, it can't.
As of now, the answer is no. Yeah. But
there's a chart in the Loyalist Legion's book.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does not list Volkite weaponry at all, which is a bit of a bummer.
Yeah, but the Loyalist Legion book also notes that notes future supplements, so it's not like it's going to be the last book and the last word on the Warmaster. So I have every faith that eventually you'll be able to take Volkites on it. You just can't right now.
I have a feeling this isn't going to be the last Titan of this class, right? So when the Imperator finally comes out, it's going to have Volkite shoulder weapons, and there'll be a little note in there saying, P.S., you can put these on your Warmaster. Right? Like, that's what I expect.
You really think they're going to put the Imperator in there?
It's the same scale
would you
as this.
turn down an opportunity to just print your own money?
I'm just saying.
But it was my understanding
that
as the Warmaster.
I assume the Imperator was even bigger.
I mean, it'll be taller because it has it has a cathedral on its back.
Yeah.
But in reading like the technicals, which I mean, who knows how much attention they're paying when they write like technical specifications and the fluff for this, but it is like the same stock as an Imperator. Like,
what they might do is they just might release a Forge World kit to put an Imperator Citadel on the back of a Warmaster. That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, or, it also wouldn't surprise me for them, like a year down the road to be like, hey, here's an Imperator, and it's just the Warmaster, but whatever sprue has its shoulders on it has been replaced with one that has a landing pad and a church on top.
So funnily enough, the Warmaster is so big that they just straight up took the hip, the pieces that make the hips and waist of an Imperial Knight, they just put that on the sprue.
Are they the same pieces?
Part. Yeah, it's the same pieces.
Amazing.
Wait.
Yeah.
Really?
That's how big it is. Uh-huh.
Huh.
Yep. Fun fact. But the Warmaster's got some cool lore, too. If you picked up the Loyalist Legion's book, which we're going to keep talking about today because Austin and I both love Titanicus and Jesse can't stop us.
You can't.
I wouldn't stop you if I could.
The Warmaster was largely kept a secret from the Imperium until the Heresy. There were rumors that during the death of innocents, some Legios were deploying big, huge Titans that were bigger than Warlords, but not as big as Imperators. And everyone's like, what? No, that's crazy. That never happened. Stop telling lies. And then lo and behold, on Terra, here they are. Speaking of Terra, if you haven't read Mortis, do it. It's so cool. But yes, they're very rare Titans, owing mostly to their size, and the fact that they're probably kind of a huge pain in the ass to build and maintain. So not a lot of people have them.
And being secret,
which is a
right?
shame.
You don't want to make too many if they're a secret.
Yeah, it's loose lips sink ships, or in this case, god engines. But, no one's ever going to turn one sideways and get it stuck in the Suez Canal, so, it'll be fine.
That you know of. There's probably just the corpse of a Warmaster Titan in the Suez during the siege.
Princeps, we got some bad news.
There were some high winds. Last episode, we talked about the Suez Canal. As of this episode, 4/17/21, the Suez Canal is unblocked. So, hooray.
But you still can't convince me that a guy who drew a giant penis with his ship, and, well, I guess woman who drew a giant penis with her ship and then got it stuck sideways in the canal only made that happen because of the
woman thing
high
was
winds.
Yeah, she was on a completely different ship.
Is that not true?
It is not true. That was a hoax.
Different Ever Given?
That was a sexist hoax, I think.
All right, well, fuck.
Yeah, Austin.
See,
now we got to delete that whole section.
And me perfectly believing a woman could be the captain of a large transport ship was like, oh, well, good for her. She became the captain of a large transport ship, got real pissed off, drew a giant penis, and shoved it sideways in the Suez Canal. Again, when you don't think it's an accident, that's not sexist.
Oh, is that how that works?
I assume the sexism is that look, a woman can't drive, crashed her ship. No.
Yes, among other things.
On purpose, or he did it on purpose. Whatever. Fuck.
Yeah, well, on that note, you were talking about the specs that you were looking at on the Warmaster. I was looking at it on the drive home, and I was talking to Jolly. I said, this thing's only 40 meters tall? That's not that big, all things considered. I mean, it's big as far as war engines go, but, in terms of the Warhammer scale, you would think it'd be bigger. But it's 40.91 meters tall, which is about 134 feet.
Pretty tall. 134 feet's real big.
But is it as big as you would expect from a Titan that's bigger than a Warlord? Because, when you see pictures of them, of Titans and stuff, they're always bigger than buildings, and we know that Warhammer builds its buildings big, but, it's not as big as the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty is bigger than a Warmaster.
The Statue of Liberty is 305 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
No.
It's bigger than the Lincoln Memorial.
Oh, well. But is it bigger than Lincoln? Just big giant robot Lincoln gets up?
I mean, presumably not with the top hat on, but...
Well, where else do you put the missiles? If not in the top hat. Just feel like you've made mistakes. Anyway, the other Titanicus thing is, as we mentioned, the Loyalist Legions book. Ooh, everybody claps tastefully.
It's real good.
Yeah, I think Austin is the only one of us right now with a hard copy. The rest of us are
just
rocking digitals. Well,
cowards.
What do you want from me?
It's been fun. I want perfection.
It looks like a pretty sizable book.
It is. It's twice the thickness of any of the other books.
Wow.
It's about twice. Yeah, I got it. I just grabbed Defensive Ryza out of my pile. Well, I take it back. Defensive Ryza is I think the other hefty one, but it's still a third again as big as Ryza.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So what's in it there, Austin? Was it worth the cost?
I think yes, because I've already found, and I haven't done a deep dive into it, right? I haven't gone through and been all right, this is what they have for, House Zavora. Is it the same as in whatever book House Zavora is in? I don't know. But I did already find that there are...
I think that's a brand new Night House.
Well, then fuck me, I guess. I don't know if Solaria is any different.
Solaria is.
Yeah, there's a couple new Night Houses. There's Solaria
got
Procon
stronger.
V is in there. Fuck, it's good. I did notice while we were talking about the Warmaster weapons, I was kind of flicking through my Warlord cards and comparing it to the weapon options chart they have. and most of them are the same except for the Mori Quake Cannon.
Oh?
The Mori Quake Cannon in this book has lost its -1 accuracy at short range.
Interesting. Now,
No further changes.
so I want to believe that that was something that was done intentionally, except we know from experience that the weapons cards and most of the weapons profiles just hit the deck borked. Like, whenever they get released, there's always something wrong with them. So
There is.
who knows?
But I would like to believe, given that this is a compilation book, right? Like, most of the stuff isn't actually new. And and it was kind of the idea of, hey, here's your one-stop shop if you're trying to be a loyalist in this game.
Right.
And I think they did mention that that they were updating rules, right? Like they said that going in. So at least for me personally, until I hear otherwise, these are the weapon stats that these are the weapon stats I'm going to think are kosher. And before you ask your listeners, no, I don't even own a Mori Quake Cannon, so this is nothing but detrimental to me. But, well, so
I
far.
do.
When I find out that the Warhound plasma guns are 30-inch range and +1 to hit, I'll be happy. But yeah, so I saw that, and like I said, I haven't done a deep dive on it. I just got it yesterday, courtesy of my friendly local game store. But it's got some fun stuff in it, nevertheless. Because the one thing I did read was the Titan upgrades. I took a good look at the universal. So right. So there are two things here.
Let's just do that.
Just roll through. All right. So the first set is what's most exciting because it's just a universal Titan war gear, and then there are specific loyalist ones, and then they also get into stratagems, some of which have been messed with a little bit, but universal Titan war gear. So the first one is tracking gyroscopes, and they say, I should mention, a small number of and I'm just reading verbatim from the last paragraph in here. A small number of the universal Titan war gear are the same as Legios specific war gear options available to custom Titan legions in Adeptus Titanicus Defensive Risa. However, the cost and rules shown here may have been altered. This is intentional. If creating a custom legion, a player can choose the Legio specific war gear as one of their 4 choices, thus getting access to a cheaper cost for that war gear, or use the generalized version here, which holds a higher points value, which I do really like. That they were very explicit of, hey, yes, we are taking some of your toys. Yours are cheaper. These are more expensive. It's not a typo. Deal with it. And there is some fun stuff in here. Do you guys have it up, or is this going to be the Austin show for a while?
No, got it up. Hit me with that page number, though.
170.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the first thing on the list.
Yeah, there's it looks like only 2 of them got yanked from Crusading Legios, which is nice. They didn't take all of their toys away.
There are some fun tricks in here. So the first one is tracking gyroscopes, which I think is one that was stolen.
Mm-hmm.
The installation of articulation motives within a Titan's carapace was a painstaking process known only to a few. However, their use was favored due to the greater movement they gave a Titan's weapons, allowing them to track targets over a greater frontage. Any Titan of scale 10 or lower, sorry, new hotness, can be upgraded with tracking gyroscopes for 25 points. A Titan with this upgrade changes the fire arc of all their carapace weapons to include the entire front arc of the Titan. Which is great, because there has been many a time when I've tried to nail somebody with my carapace missiles on my warlord, and they've just been elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because it's such a narrow arc.
Now, this is great for Apocalypse missile launchers, for sure.
Oh, yeah. Especially after the, really any carapace weapons, but especially after the Vortex thing they added, but we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, we
Interesting
will.
Side note, Legio-specific war gear for Crusading Legios, they can take tracking gyroscopes for 10 points.
Oh, good. I was just trying to find that, and I couldn't figure it out. So, yeah,
I got it right here.
And I do like that even though they have, stolen it from you, it is a much heftier price to pay.
Especially, again, given the Vortex thing.
Yeah. So, like, if you were one of those guys, and I mean, if you're like me and you only have your one Warlord, this is the way to go, right? You just pay the extra 25 points. But if you're a DIY Legio that likes to run a lot of Warlords, it is probably better to just say, you know what? It's going to be my Legio-specific war gear. I'm going to get it for better than half off. So, it's nice.
The other thing they stole, which personally, in my opinion, this isn't a super fun upgrade. This is kind of a thing you take if you're bad at spatial reasoning, which almost makes it seem like a bit of an insult that you have to pay higher prices for it from Legio-specific war gear. But it's the ranging auspexes, which really should be auspices? Whatever. Language is dumb. Focusing lens arrays stud the Titan's command canopy, allowing for its princeps an unequaled view of the battlefield. Through these telescopic eyes, the distance to enemies can be swiftly determined, allowing for the most effective weapons volleys. Any Titan may be upgraded with ranging auspexes for 15 points, up from 10 points for Crusading Legios. In the combat phase, a Titan with this upgrade can pre-measure the range and check the weapon arcs between itself and potential targets before selecting a target. Personally, like I said, this isn't actually all that fun. It's not a cool thing that you can do.
It's a crutch.
It's a handicap. Yeah.
Well, at least you paid
and admittedly,
for it.
I know. Yeah, like I know that not everybody is good at being able to like guess a range or to tell an arc. Personally, whenever I am playing this game, I've only come up a couple of times. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've been like, ooh, am I really in range? Or ooh, am I really in arc? But anybody who's played Battlefleet Gothic is probably aware of how good or bad they are at that particular skill set. Or Old Fantasy, or 3rd edition 40k. So it's not a cool thing that you can do,
It's
but
for
it is
the
helpful.
kids.
Yeah, it does feel nice that there's a way to mitigate the fact that how did Dave put it? That you're not getting screwed at this game just because you lack a particular way of thinking.
Unless it's tactical thinking, in which case you're fucked no matter what happens.
Yeah, then you're just doomed.
It's true. I do like this. As much as I was just saying, oh, it's nice that tracking gyroscopes are more of a penalty, and there's a reason to still take it as your Legion-specific war gear. I feel like for ranging aspects, there just isn't a reason to take it as Legion-specific war gear anymore. It's 5 points more. Like on a full maniple, you're paying an extra like 25 points for it. That's a rounding error. Nobody cares in Titanicus. 25 points won't usually be the thing that puts you at or over your points limit. And there's so many other cool things in the DIY Legios that I feel like ranging auspexes are going to fall out of favor real quick for the vast majority of people.
Speaking of rounding errors, a note here. One of my favorite things about these war gear that you can buy is not only do they do cool things, except ranging auspexes, but a lot of times when you're building your list, you'll end up with like 100, 120 points that you can't do anything with because you can't buy anything for that cost. You've maxed out your knight banners, or you just don't have any more knights. You can't buy a Titan for 120 points. There's not a gun you can put on it for 120 points. And while there is the underdog margin in Titanicus where you get more strategy points if you're under a certain level compared to your opponent, you almost have to not bring 2 whole Titans or thereabouts to even hit that mark.
Yeah, because you may not even know what your opponent brings.
Yeah, like the gap is normally, I think, 200 points there.
So it's nice.
Like, I'm 120 points under, but my opponent is 60 points under. Oh no.
Yeah. So it's nice that these war gear options now exist, and you can do something with those extra points. Or even, your opponent loading up on upgrades is going to push him over the underdog margin, and then you're going to get some extra stratagem points to deal with it.
Yeah, so maybe if you are 120 points under, maybe you start dropping that one extra knight you added in to get yourself to 200, 225 under, knowing that your opponent likes to max out his points with Titan War Gear.
And I'm one of those opponents. I love putting toys on my Titans.
There is one here that I might wind up being an auto include for me, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yep. So next up we have the Titan upgrade Hardened Casing. In some ways, the most vulnerable part of a Titan was its weapons, which were often considerably less armored than the rest of the Titan. To counter this, the tech priests would often reinforce weapons with a blade of armor to decrease the chance of lasting damage. Any Titan's weapons can be upgraded with the Hardened Casing for 5 points. Each of the Titan's weapons must be upgraded separately. A weapon with this upgrade increases the armor roll needed to achieve a weapon-disabled damage effect by 1. A Reaver Melta Cannon with this upgrade would need an 11 up instead of a 10 up. After this weapon suffers a detonation X damage effect, this upgrade has no effect for the remainder of the battle.
Good thing it's only 5 points.
Yeah. It doesn't super wow me, but...
Well, so I like this because there's a very specific point where this becomes really useful. And it's kind of nice. It seems like the writers have been paying attention to the way the meta of Titanicus has evolved and the individual tactics. There's very few things more frustrating than when you get into knife fighting range and your opponent has fired his guns and he's done all that and you're like, okay, cool, what's he going to do now? And what he does is smash attack called shot to the weapon.
And just
kicks one of your guns
so
off.
Much. Or if
and
I've
it's
got
so annoying.
I did that. Was it to you, Stephen, that one of my warhounds got under? And
you've definitely done it at least once.
So yeah, I'm going to just assume this is one of Stephen's warlords. One of my hounds got up under the shields. Or no, your shields were down. No, I was up under the shields because I used smash attack. Anyway, I got there, fired the plasma. Right, because that's the plan, right? When a warhound gets under the shields, you fire the plasma, and wherever the plasma hits, that's where all the other called shots go, right? And the plasma hit a fucking gun. I just blew it off, right? It's gone. But now the warhound isn't going to do any damage, right? Because this fucking warlord, all they've got's a mega bolter and a smash attack. And I went, wait a minute, mega bolter and a smash attack? Called shot to the carapace weapon, called shot to the other arm. Ha ha! You have no guns left.
Yeah, it's a really smart thing to do to keep yourself alive, but it's so goddamn annoying.
In Legio culture, that's what we call a dick move.
Yeah. Another time that Austin is probably forgetting, he had a Leofarum Volvant charged down one of my Reavers, and they spent another 2 turns in base to base, just unloading Gatlings and trying to do as much damage to each other as they could, but they couldn't really do a lot because both of us were making targeted smash attacks to the most dangerous weapon on the enemy.
Yeah.
And this hardened casing takes that the roll needed from a 4-up sometimes to a 5-up, which, we've all failed our 5-ups. We know.
And even more than that, right? I think it's even better than what you're saying, right? Because normally it's going to be the low strength weapons, right? Because you're going to want to do what happened with me, which is I'm trying to kill you, but when I fail to crack your armor because my random shot went in the wrong spot or I missed or whatever, it's the low strength weapons coming in. So that Vulcan Mega Bolter, it's strength 4, right? So if you put all the Warlord weapon disableds are 11s, right? Which is already sort of out of the realm of possibility until you're in the side. But if you are in the side, the Warhound's just probably going to do it with 6 shots rapid. But suddenly you put that to a 12, and now you need to be all the way behind. And if the Warhound is all the way behind you, it's just going to murder you anyway, so who cares? And again, like Steven said, it goes back to filling up the corners of your list, right? Oh, I've got 35 points left over. well, I guess my 2 warlords are hardened casing all the weapons. There we go.
Yeah. And it keeps those weapons that are harder to repair in the game just a little bit longer. I'm thinking about it even more now as we're talking about it, and knights. This is a big middle finger to knights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because knights will run up on you. They won't necessarily target, a part of your body, but they'll cut your guns off, and then, after they're done cutting their guns off, they'll keep focusing the guns and get those Strength 7 and Strength 9 body hits.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to do that than it is to actually damage the body.
You talk about the carapace and arm weapon for the Warmaster, suddenly you have to have a 13.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, suddenly that's not
Attainable.
a consolation prize, right? Like for a warlord or even a reaver, if you hit the arm weapon, like that's not what you want to hit. You never want to disable a weapon, right, with a random location shot. But at least it's going to be pretty automatic with, your melta cannon, your plasma blast guns.
Sure.
But if it's strength 13, I mean, still automatic with the plasma cannon, but your plasma blast gun's only strength 8.
Yeah.
So that's a 5 up.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you do get hit, it's not going to work, and it's just real sad. So yeah, this one is going to be a shoring up the corners ones for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I've warmed up to it now after this discussion.
5 points a weapon. Yeah, and I mean, if it was like 30K, where you can always find a use for that extra 30 points,
Yeah.
it might be a different situation. But in Titanicus, a lot of times you can't. So why not?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Looking at you, Psy Titan.
Oh God, yeah, you can give this to Psy Titans too.
Mm-hmm. You can give all of this to Psy Titans.
Yeah. So, damn.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the thing I like the best. I like it, but I don't like it the best. What I like the best is this Bastion shielding. This was the name given to minor networks of power generators, often incorporated into the Void Shield array of a God engine, typically used during grueling campaigns. They saw considerable use during the Horus Heresy owing to the strength of weapons wielded by Titan legions that had now turned upon one another. Any Titan can be upgraded with Bastion shielding for 10 points. Once per game, a Titan with this upgrade can declare voids to full without pushing its reactor.
It's pretty handy.
That 10 points is going to save you a maximum voids and then burning yourself out for the rest of the game. That's what that's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
I like
it's just voids to full. All right, great. Get that reroll in, but don't even worry about it.
Is there a specific Legio that has this?
Users.
What?
Is this a Legio upgrade for someone else, or is this a...
It's a Universal Titan upgrade. And it's not one of the Legio specific ones.
No one shares this one?
No.
Okay.
Although you could say that it was taken from Crusading Legio's first edition, which had a piece of war gear similar to this.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I don't keep that White Dwarf handy anymore, so I can't go and fish for it. Like, I remember it now that you mention it, but I can't go and fish for it.
Yeah, it was
I like
auxiliary shield capacitors, which would allow you to push once per turn for free.
Oh, yeah. I had that. It was rude.
Mm-hmm.
It was damn near
disrespectful.
I remember. But I do like this a lot, especially with my Legio's secondary shield capacitors.
Right.
It's just... Because what I found with the secondary, so what secondary shield capacitors does is when you drop your shields, when you're targeted by an attack, the first time your shields go down, right? You can only do it once a game, but when it happens and you're attacked by an enemy, you roll a d3, you get that many shields back and increase your reactor track by that much. And what I'd found, because normally you're going voids to full, when you take a lot of incoming fire, you really don't want to lose that last point, whatever it is. But then I realized it was making me run red hot, because if you already have a point or two on your reactor track and suddenly you get 3 shields back, that's great, but you've already pushed yourself into the red zone, right?
Yeah.
So getting this, being able to declare voids to full for free, 10 points, fuck. Steven, just assume every one of my Titans has this from now on. Just assume it. I'll make the space.
Well, I got something for you. Don't you worry.
Don't
Actually, I don't, given that it's Loyalist specific war gear, but we'll see.
Right?
We'll see.
Come back when the other book comes out, Stephen.
Nah. Makes me wonder what traders are going to get then, because boy.
Right. There are hints. There are hints and rumors.
Yep. The next one is another one for those of you who really like taking knights. It's called an Oath Banner. Many Titan legions held long-standing bonds with one or more knight houses of the Questoris Familia, with the Forge World offering support to the household in return for loyal service. Often, this service would be commemorated by the commissioning of an Oath Banner. Titans would carry these banners into battle as a reminder of the duty both God Engine and Knight owed to one another. Any Titan can be upgraded with an Oath Banner for 5 points. So again, like 20 points to outfit your entire battle group.
Yeah, potentially.
Friendly Knight banners within 6 inches of a Titan with an Oath Banner can re-roll command checks to see if they become shaken. Now, at first glance, that kind of looks meh, right? Because some people don't even use Knights, right? But there are 3 maniples that use Knight banners as a component. It's the Janissary Battle Line, the Dominus Battle Force, and the Ignis Maniple. And those Knights, those maniples, reward Knights for working in close support of the Titan themselves. The Janissary, when a Titan activates, any Knight within, I think, 12 inches can also activate. The Ignis, any Knight that is within 6 inches of a
It's within
Warhound.
6 inches for the Janissary.
Oh, well, there you go. The Ignis, any Knight within 6 inches of one of the Warhounds can auto-pass an order if that Warhound also passed the same order. And then Dominus, the Knights impose ballistic skill penalties on stuff that's shooting at Titans within 6 inches of them. So
yeah, but it is the whole maniple for the Dominus one. I actually played this the other day against Dave, and it's great. Except the whole maniple, or I'm sorry, the whole Knight banner needs to be within 6 inches of the Titan, which means they got to be real close together, which is a downside.
It's
so
unfortunate
for 5 points,
if someone's slinging big pie plates at you.
You're gonna lose a Knight and need to make a shaken banner test, and it sucks. Re-roll it, 5 points. Hell yeah.
Yeah, do it. There's I want to say there's somebody in this book. It might be Metallica. That lets Knights use a nearby Titan's leadership for those checks.
So I've got another one for you, Stephen.
Uh-huh.
This universal Titan upgrade, which can be taken by any Titan in the game, can be taken by that allied Titan your Knight House has running around with it.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So if you're one of those people that are like, man, I run Knights all the time, and every now and again, like I have a Titan with them because that's my fluff for whatever. 5 points? Why not?
Sure.
Yeah. Super useful.
And you're not
Unfortunately,
giving up, nonsense like you would if you'd have to give it a Legio trait or something.
I kind of love the idea of taking a Warmaster and then just having a daycare's worth of Knights at its feet. That'd be funny.
So expensive.
Well, I mean, no, it's only 5 points to put the Oath Banner. Oh, you mean
you
in
got to
general?
bring a whole maniple to bring that thing with you.
It's fine.
Just 3 Warhounds and a flock of
Knights, yeah. Do it.
Flock
Just
of
take an
Knights.
Ignis.
It's like a Boy Scout camping trip. Especially if it's an Ignis.
Welcome to M31 Murder Jamboree.
So these were the Universal Titan War Gear, so we could probably assume that the traders will also have these as well.
Yes.
Yes, although I wouldn't put it past GW for the traders to have a completely different set of Universal Titan War Gear, requiring you to have both books to get the full set of Universal Titan War Gear. So,
That's fair too.
I wouldn't be mad about it because I'm
I
all
wouldn't be
about
upset
more
about it,
Titanicus
'cause-
supplements.
yeah, because I've already got the Loyalist Legio book.
Oh. And you're
But
interested in at least one Trader Legio, so...
I am. Mine.
Go for it. But that being said, there are Loyalist-specific upgrades. Takeable? That's not a word.
Selectable.
Selectable?
Is that a word?
Able to be taken by only the Emperor's finest. Or rather, the Omnissiah's finest, I suppose, depending on...
Well, these tend to be the Emperor's finest, which is why they didn't go traitor.
Well, it's not my fault they've been duped. Anyway. Go for it, Jesse.
All right. So the first one we have for Loyalist-specific war gear is the Spark of Vengeance, which I don't think is a Transformers movie. Many amongst the ranks of those Titan legions still loyal to the Emperor developed an intense hatred toward those who had spat upon their oaths. To harness this rage, some Titan legions authorized the use of prohibited MIU modifications that allowed greater control of the machine spirit's anger, albeit at the potential cost of long-term damage caused to the God engine. Any Loyalist Titan may be upgraded with a Spark of Vengeance for 10 points. When a Titan with this upgrade is required to roll on the Awakened Machine Spirit table, they apply the Wrathful result instead.
That's real fun.
Yep, and Wrathful is the controlling player chooses one of the Titan's weapons that has not been disabled and attacks with it, using a ballistic skill and weapon skill of 4-up following the standard combat sequence.
Yeah, that's really good, actually.
Yeah, that's the best one for most situations where you fail the Awakened Machine Spirit roll.
Yeah.
And it's one less variable you have to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially because, at least in my experience, you tend to wake up the machine spirit the most when you're firing a Bellicosa.
Yeah, so just fire it anyway. Fire it anyway.
Just fire it anyway. One less ballistic skill. Oh no.
Then you have to fail a command check to get to this point anyway, too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Let's see, at 10 points per Loyalist Titan, yeah, your results may vary.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a nice...
But knowing that you'll be able to just shoot instead of any other stupid thing. It's kind of
like
nice.
That, I mean, bad Awakened
better than
Machine
just
Spirit
sitting
rolls lost me my last game.
Yeah, like if
I don't blame the dice on much, but when you get a haughty and then another bad thing, when you just need to move, but you don't move, you just sit there and die.
Yeah, kid out your mana pool between like 40 to 60 points, and knowing that they'll shoot if you awaken a machine spirit. That's
or punch.
Shoot or punch.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, like that 40 to 60 points, probably not going to have anything else to spend it on.
Yeah, and probably worth it.
Definitely worth it, yeah. Because, like Austin said,
any opportunity to fire a weapon is a good opportunity, I think.
Yeah. Especially because it could come out of sequence, right?
To do it.
Yes.
Like, it could go in the movement phase when you were trying to get a little extra boosted speed, and instead, oh, great, I get to shoot at somebody with their shields down.
And it doesn't prevent you from firing it again.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet piece of war gear right there.
Mm-hmm. My favorite is the next one.
Vortex payload.
It's so cool. I'm going to skip you on this one, Austin.
Yeah, okay.
Loyalist-specific war gear, Vortex payload. And I read this immediately after reading Mortis, so I was all about it. When the Emperor ratified his treaty with Mars, one of his commandments was the sealing of technologies deemed too perverse or unstable for use. Many Forge Worlds ignored such a decree during the Horus Heresy, retrieving esoteric weapons from war vaults sealed long ago. Because sometimes, even when God tells you not to do it, you gotta do it.
But I want to install Linux on my laptop, so fuck 'em.
Sometimes you need to do a war crime.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just a little bit of war crime as a treat. Any Loyalist Titan, and this gets me a little bit, that it's Loyalist-specific war gear, which makes me wonder what traitors are going to get. Any Loyalist Titan equipped with a warp missile, so Reavers and Warlords, can be upgraded with a Vortex payload for 20 points. Each of the Titan's weapons must be upgraded separately, so 20 points for a Reaver, 40 for a Warlord. A warp missile upgraded with a Vortex payload loses the warp trait and gains the Vortex trait. However, the X value of the limited trait cannot be changed in any way. It will always be limited 1. It doesn't have the Vortex trait anywhere that's easily read. But what happens
what does the Vortex trait get us, Stephen?
Well, I happen to know this off the top of my head because this is directly taken out of the original 1989 Adeptus Titanicus game. It puts a big template down, a big 5-inch template, and anything under that template takes, I think, D3 strength 10 hits that just goes through shields.
Ooh. Oh, no.
But that's not the worst part. The Vortex can stay there and keep moving around. Just continually racking up.
Just like the Vortex grenade.
Just like a Vortex grenade, except Titan-sized. Yeah. So this, I really enjoy this, not only because of the fact that missiles that tear holes in reality are super cool, but finally we have a usable counter to castle builds. The Regia Maniple, the Fortis Maniple, a Cast Eye sitting behind a building with Adamantium Stance.
Stay in one spot. Hey, you won't.
What's that over there? I don't know, but I don't like it. Drop a Vortex missile on it. Thunk.
Flush him out.
Yep. So sometimes, you really want to... A lot of people say... Well, not a lot of people, because a lot of people are dumb and think the Acastus is OP. But people who know better will tell you, just hit them with a Bellicosa, and they'll go away. Well, sometimes you can't hit them with a Bellicosa, but you can hit them with a Vortex missile that doesn't need line of sight. Just... Zoom, and then watch the Acastus get sucked into a black hole. It's fun for the whole family.
It's a good time.
Yeah, and then again, it can just keep wandering around, eating whatever gets too close. Fortis Maniples, it's those D3 hits to everything under the template. So, if you hit 3 Titans with it, that's 3 D3 hits.
Yep. Under the shields, so it doesn't matter if you're sharing.
Mm-hmm. And it's only one use, but the best weapon is the one you only have to fire once.
Right? How many more times you want to shoot it? Fuck.
Yeah. And if you really, really want more Vortex missiles, put 2 on a single Warlord and then bring more Warlords.
Yeah, bring your own fucking... Just bring a Regina Maniple. Bring 2, then have a bunch of Warhounds to run in and mop up the rest.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta commit a war crime. And, black holes are a pretty good war crime.
Black holes directly into hell? Yes.
Yes. Man. God, that scene with Diaz Ray is so cool. But, unfortunately, you cannot use auto-loaders to pop that back
limited
up.
1.
But there are, I think, some instances, maybe with Forge World battlefields or in campaigns, where you can reload limited weapons. Am I imagining that? Or is
that's at least one of the special scenarios in a book somewhere, because we've played it.
Yeah.
It just didn't come up because we weren't taking any limited weapons.
Yeah, so, sometimes you've got extra Vortex missiles in your pocket.
Yep.
Oh, hey, look what I found.
Who's behind the couch the whole time?
Throw this at somebody now. That's great.
Yep. Love it.
Want to take the next one, Austin?
Yeah. The next one is the Aquila Benedictus. The Aquila Benedictus was one of the rarest honors bestowed on Titans during the Great Crusade, for it was given solely by the Emperor himself. Any Titan honored with an Aquila Benedictus wore it proudly upon their form, serving as a source of inspiration for their allies. I can only assume that what this should really be represented as is those of you that's seen the Warlord that's got that Sister of Battle floating.
I was thinking the same thing when they were talking about this.
About that.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're all on the same page on that one.
Yeah,
Yep.
that. If you see a Titan with that, that's this. A maximum of 1 Loyalist Titan within a battle group can be upgraded with an Aquila Benedictus for 15 points. A friendly Loyalist Titan within 6 inches of a Titan with this upgrade, including the Titan itself, suffers no penalties to command checks. If the Titan is destroyed, all friendly Loyalist Titans within 6 inches of the upgraded Titan immediately roll on the Awakened Machine Spirit table as if they have failed to quell the Machine Spirit. This is nothing but good ideas, boys and girls. It's 15 points, so again, that's going to be around. No penalties to command checks, so not huge, in my opinion, right now. Like, there are Legios that'll mess with your command checks. That sucks. You can get hit in the head. That sucks. Generally speaking, though, but for 15 points, why not? But it's that second thing that seems like a bad thing that I think is the reason that you want this. Because Awakened Machine Spirit table, like, yeah, 1 in 6 chance nothing happens, but that's fine because you weren't doing anything anyway. And then the remainder is, a 50% chance of moving thereabouts, and then about 50% you shoot a gun at somebody. The moving could catch you out, right? There are some times where you don't want to turn and face the nearest enemy. There are some times that you don't want to go D6 straight ahead. But shooting guns is never a bad thing when it's for free. And 15 points to shoot guns for free, that, like, to me, that outweighs the very rare occasion where you might not want to move.
So could you take this with the Spark of Vengeance?
I think so. I mean, I guess it would depend on what it says about the...
It says, for Spark of Vengeance, when a Titan with this upgrade is required to roll on the Awakened Machine... Awakened Machine Spirit table, they apply the Wrathful result instead.
Yeah, you're basically just building a Wrathful bomb.
You can create just a giant holy maniple.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be within 6 inches, but God, I'd do this for...
Let's run a Fortis maniple and pack volcano cannons on everybody.
Or even just have it, like, maybe not even the whole Legio, right? Just that 3 Warhound pack. Have the pack leader run with the Aquila Benedictus on it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fun. Well spotted, Jesse.
I just got to find the best Legio to fit this.
Well, luckily, now you have a book that has all the Loyalist Legios right there. You can flip through your heart's content.
Defensor is probably the best one for this. I think Defensor gets to do stuff when their friends die. So, just suicide the Aquila Benedictus Warhound into a line, and then just watch as all the other Titans get wrathful, and then just keep shooting forever.
No. It's all friendly Loyalists within 6 inches of the Titan when it dies. Yeah. It's not everybody on the field.
Run them all together.
I mean, there's that. That's what I do.
Yeah, just run them all together. One big Warhound bomb. It'd be great.
As part of the next piece of war gear for Loyalists, plasmatic binders. The Forge world of Ryza had long hoarded secrets relating to creation and engineering of plasma technologies, a handful of which they shared during the Horus Heresy. Plasmatic binders proved to be the most widely utilized. Though time-consuming to craft and short-lived, they provided a rapid means through which to quiet the raging heart of a god engine. Any Loyalist Titan can be upgraded with plasmatic binders for 25 points. Bit pricey. Once per game, during a damage control phase of any round, a Titan with this upgrade may activate its plasmatic binders. Until the end of the round, the Titan can vent plasma on a 2-up instead of a 4-up. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty literally the wording from Infuse's Supercoolant. Like, congratulations, everybody is a Warmaster today.
Yeah, I don't mind it, especially that it says just once per game, just during the damage control phase.
Yeah.
So theoretically, you could roll those dice, say, fuck, I only got 3 ups. Time to use the plasmatic binders. The only thing that I would have liked this, just for the sake of clarity, is there are some scenarios where the battlefield problem is it's real hot or something crazy's going on, and you vent plasma on a 6-up instead of a 4-up. So
I would say
I would have liked it to say, hey, it's a 2-up regardless, or hey,
I think
just something to clarify that. I
think it's probably pretty simple to make the choice, because Because I would say that generally when you're playing any sort of tabletop game, the rule of thumb is specific beats general, right? I would say that any war gear, especially something that has specific in the name, probably beats the general rules of a battlefield.
But here's the thing. It goes to a 6-up. Can you modify that 6-up to the 2-up? Or does the 2-up only modify the 4-up? Because you no longer have a 4-up. You have a 6-up. Yeah. You see what I mean?
The wording is a little too specific.
Yeah, right? That's what I mean. So at the end of the day, you're not going to play an event with those probably. So who cares? Yeah. Talk it out with your buddies. But for as tight as all the other rules tend to be, the only arguments I see on the internet about things are dumb, right? I mean, for 40K and 30K, there's a lot of ambiguous language, and Necromunda as well. But I feel for Titanicus, it tends to be pretty tight, probably because there's only 4 different models in the game,
just don't ask anybody how Wildfire interacts with a Power Fist, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, right? Don't do that.
I don't know. Do you think this one might be FAQ'd in the future?
Probably not, because again,
Very
the scenarios,
specific.
the scenarios are few and far between, and most Titanicus players are going to figure it out between the 2 guys they play Titanicus with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's, first world problems. But I do like it. Even for 25 points, which is, pricier than most of these, the fact that you get to pull the cord after you roll the dice, to me makes it worth it. Because God, do my warhounds get hot. They get hot so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're going to like this next one, though, Austin. Especially because it gives us a hint for things to come.
Do go on.
Loyalist specific war gear, null emitter. As the Heresy, damn it,
There we go again. Welcome to the Heresy.
As the Heresy Pony War wore on, the Titan legions that had sided with the Warmaster began to change. Again, read Mortis. In many instances, these changes were spurred on by the machinations of the Dark Mechanicum. Why would you pick that word? Machinations of the Dark Mechanicum.
It's the machinations of the Mechanicum.
Just, you could have picked literally any other word.
Mechanicum.
Fuck you, people that are bad at tongue twisters.
Yeah. With some Titans becoming vessels for malignant powers, read demons, pulled forth from the warp. To counter this, rare esoteric devices known as null emitters that exhibited destabilizing properties upon so-called corrupted Titans were crafted and distributed to Loyalist legions in an attempt to combat this new threat. Remember, these upgrades can be bought for Psi Titans. Any Loyalist Princeps Senioris Titan, no they cannot, because Psi Titans can never have your Princeps Senioris. Any Loyalist Princeps Senioris Titan may be upgraded with a null emitter for 25 points. Corrupted Titans within 6 inches of a Titan with a null emitter subtract 1 from the result of any command check they make. Uh-oh. In addition, once per game, when a Titan with this upgrade is activated during any phase, they may discharge their null emitter. If they do so, choose a visible corrupted Titan within 10 inches of the Princeps Senioris Titan. Until the end of the round, a single additional mutation the Titan has chosen as an upgrade has no effect. A base mutation cannot be chosen. Once a null emitter has been discharged, it no longer applies negative modifiers to the command checks of corrupted Titans. So,
Well.
a couple of things. Seems like corrupted Titans are going to be like a little Build-A-Bear of Baby's first crimes against God. Which is super cool. Because, we haven't seen corrupted Titans yet.
Yeah.
We didn't know what they were going to be. We knew they existed, or would exist, were pending existence.
Right.
But we didn't know what it was. We didn't know if it was going to be like a Psi Titan kind of thing, where it's just, here's a Titan with extra rules.
It's starting to feel like a Demons of the Ruin Storm type of deal.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
And my base guess here is that base mutations is going to be a dedication to a specific god.
Sure.
So you'll have 5, one for each of the big four, and then a general undivided / Malal one. And then based on what base mutation you take, the other mutations are either going to be disallowed to you or takeable for a certain amount of points. I don't know if maybe there will be like a table, right? Like I take the corn base mutation, and now I have 3 or 4 other mutations to choose from. Or you take the unaligned, and you can take X number of any of them from any set. So I really like that, the little build a bear titan, build an abomination.
Yeah, build an abomination. I like it. I also like the idea of a null emitter. Like, I just assume it's a canister with like a blank in it. There's just a pariah in a canister, and you just like hold him out on your back.
It's not even a fancy canister. Like, it's a can with holes poked in the top, and you just shake it.
It's just a coffin with a small rocket booster on one end for when you want to shoot it at somebody within 10 inches of you.
Yeah.
And like that guy gets fucked up, but no, you shook the can, and you know what happens when you shake a can and then open it.
Like a psyker brain in a jar.
Yeah.
Or a blank in a jar. Yeah.
I assume it's pretty much the same thing. Like they occasionally shoot into the Eye of Terror in 40K, was just like a psychic blank in a like probe.
Just a little fuck you torpedo.
Yep. Just to see what's going on.
Yep. I like it. It's pretty cool. I like that you can only take it on certain titans. It seems fluffy to put it on a Princeps Senioris titan as opposed to, some rando in a warhound who's just going to go run away or run up to the corrupted titan and bark at it. So
like you got to know somebody to get it, and I also like that you can only have one of them, right? I mean, generally, right? Because it's just your Princeps Senioris titan. So,
well, you can have multiple Princeps Senioris.
Yeah, you can have multiple maniples, but that's a big game.
Oh, if you took what's that Legio that has Darkfire, Legio Vulcanum, Darkfire and Lords of Ruin? You could, in theory, play Loyalist Darkfire and have 2 Princeps Senioris and 1 maniple.
Now you're just working too hard. Although, depending on how OP these mutated titans are, you might need to be.
You might want them, yeah.
Corrupted titans for days. About it. Fully about
I really like the idea of building like a close quarters Gatling fist Reaver, putting the null emitter on it, and like, you, corrupted titan, I'm coming for you, and just full stride down the field to pop the null emitter and punch demons in the face.
Unfortunately, that demon's going to be a corn corrupted titan, and it's going to have a tail with a friggin' doom club on it.
Man, I would love to see Bane Lord. Man.
The times are coming. The times are coming.
Yep.
And then there's one more, I think. Yeah, just the one more Loyalist specific war gear, and these are fantastic, and I love them.
I would go so far as to say that these are overpowered and undercosted.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Well, we'll get there. We'll get there. So these are hunter shells, produced solely by the Forge World of Tigris. Hunter shells were specialized ammunition that contained a small logic engine designed to direct the flight of the shell towards the weakest armor of the target. Titan-scale hunter shells were exceedingly rare, and the limited supply ensured a Titan rarely carried a full complement into battle. Any Loyalist Titan equipped with a weapon with the Ordnance trait can be upgraded with hunter shells for 5 points times the die value of a weapon. A Reaver Gatling would be 30 points, for example. 6, 5, 30, bam. So long as that Titan does not already have an upgrade affecting the weapon. Each of the Titan's weapons must be upgraded separately. Once per game, a weapon upgraded with hunter shells may fire a hunter salvo rather than firing as normal. When firing a hunter salvo, the Titan does not apply a -2 modifier to the hit roll when making a targeting attack.
Ooh.
Praise the Lord and pass the hunter ammunition.
So dumb.
Now, Stephen, in reading this again, it does make me a little sad because I didn't read or just glossed over the ordnance requirement. So my poor warhounds with their bolters won't be able to do this.
Tiny violin.
Right. However, my Reavers with the Gatlings and the Meltas, whose whole job is to crack you open like a can opener with that Melta and then cold shot the Gatling into the gaping crater
Oh, that's
That seems well worth 30 points.
so rude. Alea can take one with her macro get.
Oh, she can, can't she? Or for the Carapace. Although the Carapace would be a dumb upgrade. That's like 60 points. Like that.
60 points to reliably execute one Titan. You don't even have to have it damaged, right? Like Dave, right, has that Exterminus Maniple, and he has the double Gatling cannon on the Carapace. He has the macro Gat on an arm, and he has, I think, a Sun Fury for the other arm, right? So he could put Hunter Shells on all of that. Once something has got no shields, he called shots to wherever he wants, pushes the reactor twice or by 2 to add +1 strength to all of it, and it's just, hey, little buddy, what you doing over there? That's a nice head you got. Sure would be a shame if someone got Gatling all over it.
Died is what it looks like. It's also nice for those scenarios where the tertiary your tertiary objectives for some of the sets rolling around. They're like, you killed a Titan by blowing its head off. That's fucking hard. I don't want to do that. Oh, I can do it for free? All right, guess I will.
30 points just seems like such a good price to pay.
It is and it isn't. Like, it is... like, it sounds great in a vacuum, and then you realize, like, okay, so for me, doing it for both, like, in my general lineup, both my Reavers have a Gatling weapon, so that's 60 points, and then my Warlord has a Gatling weapon, which is also 6 shots, I want to say.
I think so. It's just a higher strength.
Yeah, so that's 90 points.
For a one-use weapon.
For, 3 one-use shots.
It's 90 points to kill an engine. Well, maybe 3 engines.
But you were going to do it like for called shots, a lot of times you only need that one hit. So you don't really need, like, the -2 sucks, but you don't need it all the time to get the job done. So I will disagree with you that this is undercosted, but God, is it good. It is good.
Yeah, even if it's not undercosted, it's still real strong.
It ain't bad.
Yeah,
and really nothing here is bad, except for
everything has a use, even if it's a niche use. The only thing that I would even say is remotely bad is the stupid ranging aspects.
Yeah, that's a good, but this is also good for Johnny's first game of Titanicus, right? Somebody's only ever played, the newer editions of 40K or Age of Sigmar. They don't guess range for shit. They now don't need to do a DIY
kids
Legio.
today.
Right. They now don't need a DIY Legio to take the one thing that will get them through their like transition period of playing a gentleman's game.
And the in the same vein, the upgrades kind of help you to, if Johnny is playing Titanicus for the first time, but his 2 Hounds and 1 Reaver like feel kind of underwhelming. We'll throw some upgrades on there, little buddy.
Yeah. Get you some Bastion shielding and Hunter Shells.
Just drop a Vortex missile on someone and watch them go screaming into the void.
That'll make you feel better.
Yeah.
Ripping someone's soul directly into hell.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So but that's all for the war gear. I think mostly the book collates a lot of stratagems, which is really nice.
Yes,
collates all the maniples.
It does modify a couple of them. Again, I haven't like sat down with all my deck of stratagem cards to figure out the details. Vox Blackout went to 3 points. I think it was 2 previously.
Good.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was 1. Didn't it used to be 1?
Oh, fuck, whatever it wasn't 3, and that's what it needs to be.
It was 1, and it was way too cheap.
It was disrespectful.
Yeah.
Strafing Run has stayed at 2, but it's now 1 use only.
Yeah, a lot of the ones that were with a trigger every turn during the stratagem phase are now 1 use only.
Yeah, like Artillery Bombardment stayed every turn, but I think that's it.
Quake Shells. Scatterable mines got changed, and I understand that a lot of people had feelings about scatterable mines. We've never played with them, so I don't know what those feelings are, but apparently scatterable mines were or strong.
I used them once and I wasn't thrilled. I mean, like, oh no, it's dangerous terrain. Sure, I'm not going to disagree. Just again, we only used it like that one time.
Moving it 10 inches seems a bit.
Yeah, like
That's a rough scatter.
But it's a regular scatter die, so there's still a 1 in 3 chance that it just sits there.
That's true too.
I mean, it's no vortex, but
yeah, like, there were ruder things,
And then you got to remove it at the end of the round, so it's like, now you do anyway. So
it'll really fuck up that one guy's charge that one time.
the bigger deal, I think, and more than stratagems, is that some of the Legios got changes.
Yeah,
not
we
big
really
changes,
need to do a whole
right?
like another episode after we've sat down and like mapped out what all the Legios changed.
Yeah.
I was telling Jesse before we started is they're not big changes individually, but within the context of the Legios that they're changing, they're kind of a big deal.
Well, I mean, yeah, everybody that's played a Legio that, like was like a day one when that Legio came out, this is my Legio. It's like changing the way Ultramarines work, right? Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be a big change, but you're still radically affecting the play style of whoever was playing Ultramarine.
Yeah, I mean, well, oops, Ultramarines.
Yeah, nobody cares about them, but somebody told me Legio Solaria got changed, and that does.
So Legio Solaria only had one change, right? Most of these Legios only had one change. Solarias went from wolf packs, their rule wolf pack, which allows them to squadron, I think, 4 warhounds together. They can now play at being Audax, and they can squadron 5.
Oh, delightful.
Yep.
Look at them go.
I know Graphonicus, their mainstay of the Titan Legion, where they could replace 1 mandatory Warhound or 1 mandatory Warlord in a maniple with a Reaver, can now replace any Warlord or Warhound with a Reaver. So they can wildly change a maniple composition.
Interesting.
That is... Who is that again?
Graphonicus.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah.
And here
because
I was
that means
about getting a new Legio.
because you can now, like any
Everything
maniple
can
that
now
was
look like a Corsair.
Yeah. How about a Mandatus maniple with a Warlord and 4 Reavers, or a Regia maniple with Warlords and 2 Reavers for each of them?
Possibilities are endless.
Just imagine the fun.
Imagine.
My favorite change is Ataris. Legio Ataris had incendiary missiles that they could replace on Reavers and Warlords, and the incendiary missiles were just absolute garbage. What they did was they reduced the strength of the gun to strength 3, and then anything that they hit, so they don't do anything to voids, anything that they hit left a 5-inch template underneath it, which would do 1 strength 4 hit to the legs of any Titan that was standing on it. And it would also burn buildings.
That came out, and we were like, man, they're really prepping for putting infantry in this, because there is literally no other use. And that was a year ago.
Terrible. But now, the incendiary missiles, for the same cost, and for all the other things they did, have Voidbreaker 2. Which means for every hit, it's an additional 2 saves. And you know how many hits come from a multiple rocket launcher?
Shit tons.
A shit ton. Yeah. 15 rockets hitting on 2s outside of 30 inches. And each of those rockets does another 3 hits, or does another 2 hits. Eat your heart out.
That's nuts.
Yep. So many missiles, but yeah, super cool. But we'll have to, like Austin said, really go through them, because they added more night houses. They added, I think, 4 or 5 new night houses. We didn't even touch Metallica today. Metallica's a whole new Legio.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go back, because I've got thoughts on this Legio Graphonicus in a Venator maniple.
Oh no.
Right? Because the Venator's opportunistic strike, if shields are collapsed by a Warhound Titan, Reaver Titan in this maniple can immediately make an attack against it with one of its weapons. So if you have multiple Reavers and a Warhound drops the shields on something, does each Reaver then get to shoot into that shieldless thing?
No, I think that was specified a long time ago.
Damn!
Is that only one Reaver can make use of that rule at a time?
All right, fine. I didn't want to play Gryphonicus anyway.
Yeah, you did. Lust for Glory is super cool.
I do have a lust for glory.
The only thing that I don't like about this book, or rather the only thing that I'm disappointed in the book, I should say, I shouldn't say that I don't like it, is that there's no legendary titans.
That is a shame.
Hey, yeah. Man, I didn't even know, like, I forgot they existed.
Titans of Legend were like
you
a blink of time in Titanicus, and now they're sold out, so you can't get them anymore.
Gone for all time.
And they're not in any book, so...
That is kind of rough.
What are you supposed to do? Yeah.
I don't know, maybe when the Black Shield, the Black Shield Legios book comes out, it'll also have just shit tons of Titans of Legend, because what else? How many Black Shield Legios are you going to be talking about?
Yeah, who knows?
It still feels a bit awkward, though.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And it means that there's no additional Titans of Legend that are coming anytime soon.
Maybe they're just hoping we forget about them.
Well, no, that would be my thought, is either they've gone out, or, because, like, the Traitor Legio version of this book is going to have to be even bigger, because you got to explain all these corrupted Titans and corrupted Night Houses. So you can't put anything else in there. That's going to be 200 pages.
Hey, that null emitter doesn't work on corrupted knights.
Oh, no. Suck a dick.
That's funny. Because it only says corrupted titans.
Corrupted Knights are a rounding error. They don't matter.
You just kick those guys over.
Yeah, just go punt a puppy and be done with it.
All right, we're going to see what happens when all those Cornate Knights start charging.
Look, I got a tiny bloodthirster. I'm ready for it.
Vortex, baby.
Vortex, yeah, for real. Just Sir, there's a corrupted knight banner over there. Thump. No, there's not. What banner?
Yeah.
Fake news.
Yeah. It gives me hope for some of the weaker traitor legios, like Krytos, which is just sitting at the very bottom of the cool barrel. The poor Krytos.
Is it even in the cool barrel?
It was, because it was the only way to get it. When it first came out, it was. When Titan Death came out, Krytos was bad, but not the worst. You took him so you could have a whole bunch of warlords.
Sure.
But they are still not good, and they've only gotten worse as time has gone on, because Darktide, Tritonus came out and was like, hey, you know that trick that Krytos should have been able to do? Yeah, we do that now.
Oh, no.
Black Shields, baby. Shasha. I'm almost certain that Legio Infernus's Dark Blessing war gear is going to get a price hike, because it probably should. It's way too good for 5 points.
You've been yelling about it on the internet for so long.
It's the best war gear in the game. What do you want for 5 points?
But that's what I'm saying. If it does get a price hike, it'll be your fault. Specifically you.
You're to blame.
Well, you know what? Maybe they shouldn't have given me such a good piece of war gear. And sometimes I feel bad. Dark blessing.
You have never felt bad while you rolled that die. I've seen you do it. You always got that shit-eating grit. Dark blessing.
It was fun when I Dark blessing one of my falling titans so that it would fall on the target.
I remember.
Suck it, Alea.
The dickest of moves.
Yeah. Well, while I have you guys here, you want to talk about that new
The Twisted.
Yeah.
The Twisted. Yeah, he looks real cool.
Sexy model.
Mm-hmm. I love how bulky his armor looks, and it kind of makes me wonder.
It's got like it's like Mark IV with a Mark III vibe to it, obviously.
Yeah, the Gorget is huge.
Yeah.
It's like
which, funny enough, he doesn't have Artificer armor in the game, unless they change the FAQ. But
well, who needs Artificer armor when you've got that huge Gorget?
Yeah,
just bouncing bolter shells off of it into your buddies.
He's got straight up power armor in the regular game.
Well,
so it's kind of funny.
Not everybody important gets cool armor. Look at Corpharon. He sucks.
Yeah, but I mean, that's Corpharon's not important. He's a dick.
And he's toughness 3, so fuck him.
Yeah. there's
4
a difference
wounds,
between
T3, get ID'd by a plasma pistol. 50-50
Can
chance
and
to remove
will.
the warlord.
Yeah, I do like how he's modeled too, because he's modeled like he's certainly using that Eye of Horus as a crutch, right?
Yeah. I was talking to
can't
Dave
stand
about
up
this the other
straight.
day, and I'll probably splice in what we were talking about earlier too. But they do a good job of the sense of him leaning on it
Yeah.
with the model.
Yeah. Now, as cool as Malagurst is, I'm a little more interested in the article that he came out in. It's called the Legion Dispatch. It's a Warcom article.
Yeah.
And they said that it's going to be a monthly, maybe?
Nope, they just say regular.
A regular.
They don't mention any specific time.
But the other ones are monthly. The other, quote, regular ones
A
are.
regular article that is focused entirely on heresy models, new heresy models. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Which means that hopefully the con will be getting a model soon.
We can only hope.
Yeah, well, we can't, but certainly White Scars players can.
Yeah, like I could take it or leave it. Robbie's going to be real excited.
Yeah, I'll be happy to see, because I think they did say that there were going to be 2 models, one on foot, one on bike, or one where they
probably
can swap out
interchangeable in the
the.
same kit,
That's what they
but yeah.
said. That you can put it on a bike. You can have him off a bike.
I guess just change off his torso, maybe.
Yeah, I really hope they just let his like torso have a little magnet slot in there, 2 pairs of legs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But, yeah, Malaga, he's got that. That's such a sick-looking banner, too. I mean, not a banner, but like an icon. It's just a gigantic Eye of Horus.
Yep.
Got some nice skulls on it. Got a lovely
I
little
love skulls.
16th icon.
I like his bolter.
Yeah, a little charm on it. A little stream. Looks more streamlined than usual. But you can tell that icon was something that was made, like, you can see it being handed to the Legion when Horus was declared Warmaster. You know?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a heresy era thing, per se. Like, it's got those clean lines. And then they were like, fuck it, we're traitors now. Let's throw some chains and skulls on it.
Chains and skulls.
Chains and skulls. Ass and titties. Chains and skulls.
And the tactical piece of rock he's standing on for heroic pose.
Yep.
Well, naturally, yeah.
But I could almost see, like, one of these getting passed out to, like, other legions, too. Instead of that 16, there's just, like, a 10 or a 14 or whatever.
Each one has just its own icon.
Yeah, each one was like, oh, hey, like, the new Warmaster's here. Here's, like, you showed up to the Ulanor victory parade.
Here's your icon.
Here's your icon. Thanks for coming out, guys.
Yep.
P.S. This word bearer chaplain is coming. Don't ask questions.
Hey, everybody. Yep. Erebus, not this guy. God, he's such a square.
It's hip
Hey.
to be square.
Hey, kids, you know who else liked doing heresy?
I love his gloves he's got. Like these.
Yeah, he's got some old school Chaos Space Marine vibes with the gloves, and like his little knee pads have some ornamentation on them.
Yeah.
And he's wearing a tabard of what appears to be skin.
Maybe. But yeah, definitely giving off some, like you said, some Chaos 40k vibes to an extent.
I mean, yeah, Malagur's to Chaos Space Marine. Whoa.
Imagine that. I do like that bolter. I want to get a closer look at that bolt gun, though.
Yeah, because it looks kind of stripped down. It's definitely like an older rogue trader looking bolter. Mm-hmm. Because it's got that ridiculous looking magazine. Love it.
I wonder if he'll come with a helmet.
Probably not.
Saul Tarvitz did. Wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I mean, Saul Tarvitz ostensibly knows how to use safety equipment, though, and Malagurst obviously does not.
Malagurst and Gallant
Yep.
from your highlights cartoons.
Yeah. It's,
Malagurst doesn't wear a helmet. Gallant does.
yeah. Malagurst scoffs at the idea of seatbelts.
Oh, shit.
Gee, Malagurst, aren't you going to wear your restraint harness? Those are for squares. I'm just going to maglock my boots to the deck. It'll be fine.
But lo,
Don't be like Malagurst. Yep. So many OSHA violations. Some of you may die.
Yeah. All right. What do you think's coming up next?
I mean, the trader book, very specifically.
As far as a heresy model. What would you like to see?
I'd like Argyle, but he doesn't have rules, so we're not going to get that.
Probably not. An Argyle model is in dire need and be sick AF.
Yeah, I mean, Betrayer's only, 10 years old by now?
Yeah, that's all.
I mean, it's an anniversary model, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
I don't
at this
know what
rate, I can't wait to wait. Can't wait for 10 years to get my Corswain model. So,
yeah, Corswain would probably be the coolest guy to see next.
Look, Jesse,
maybe...
I hate to break it to you, but you've got those new Dark Angels rules, and there's going to be a new version of Heresy come out. They're all going to be invalidated. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, that's fine. But I did get some bits from some other characters, so I'm going to build my own Corswain.
I'll build my own Corswain with blackjack and
hookers.
I got the Blood Angels Praetor with that sweet two-handed grip.
Nice.
Gonna throw on some Dark Angel stuff. I think it'll look pretty cool. So we'll see where it goes from there. Kind of based off the Horus Heresy Legions card game app.
Mm-hmm.
They have Corswain kind of decked out like that with a two-handed grip and everything. Just add attention. So I think I'm gonna give that a shot.
I think I would. I think I'd like to see either I always forget the order that the syllables of his name go. The World Eater's Chief Apothecary.
Kargos?
No, Gerlan Salak.
Oh yeah. Garland Surlak. I know who you're talking about.
I always think his last name's going to be Surlak, but then I'm like, that sounds real close to Sarlacc. No. And I don't think that's right. But yeah, the World Leader's Chief Apothecary with the Power Axe and the Exhortations of Butchery. Or I would like to see, what's his name? Erasmus Gulg, the Iron Warriors guy.
Yeah.
I think both of those would be pretty cool character models. Because it seems like they're hitting dudes that were in the first books first.
Because Malagurst was in book 2, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, book 2. Wow. Such a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see some of them. Or a Mechanicum character.
Plastic
New Mechanicum character would be cool.
I would like another militia character.
Oh, besides the apothecary? Or the
besides the medic. But that's not even a militia.
He's a Solar Ox character. He's not even a
Solar Oxys. Militia don't have anything. Come on now.
It's because militia aren't important.
Where is my Alander Pius?
Well, if you read Mortis, you'll find out.
Dude. Yeah. You have my copy of Mortis. I've read it. I know what's
It's not specifically if you read Mortis. It's if the listeners read Mortis. Everything that you could ever want to know is in Mortis.
True. It's great.
Do it.
The sum of all heresy knowledge.
Diaz Irae is in Mortis, and it's so cool. I was sitting there talking with Dave and Austin. I said, man, Diaz Irae better show up in this book before it's done. And Austin goes, I'm not going to spoil it. You'll just have to finish reading it. And I turn the page, and it's the paragraph Diaz Irae comes in.
She comes in with style and panache.
The Reaper enthroned in iron. So cool. Yeah. Pick up that Preceptor battle line maniple box before it's too late. It's such a good deal.
It really is.
Speaking
it's essentially get 2 Titans free. Or 3, depending on which ones you feel you're spending money on.
Is that an online only?
Yeah, it's online only right now. Well, and will probably continue to be until it sells out, and it will sell out. So get it.
Yeah, it's got a great price. It's got a great mix. Like if you're thinking of starting Titanicus, that's the one to get because it'll let you play most of the maniples.
Okay.
Like I'd say you'd be able to get half the maniples out of it.
It'll give you Axiom. It'll give you the Precept.
Fortis or 4X Light.
Fortis, 4X Light. I think you can do a Janissary with it.
Yep. And that's
no, you can't do Janissary unless you have Knights, but still.
Well, and that's before you pick a Legion that could allow you to swap out, something for something, which would get you even more variety out of it.
Just take Gryphonicus. Do it.
Yeah. I mean, really, like if you get that box and then one other box of Titan, right? Either a pair of Warhounds, another Reaver or Warlord, based on whatever Legion you want to play. And that's like, you're good to go. That's about as many Titans as I have, right?
2 Warhounds, a Reaver, a Warbringer and a Warlord for 185 USD.
Yeah.
You're
Holy
basically
that's-
paying for the Warlord and either the Reaver or the Warbringer, and everything else is free.
That's nuts.
And if you buy 2 of those boxes, you're set.
Yeah,
That's
whatever you
all
want.
Yeah,
That's all the Titans you'll ever need.
Well, you might,
Unless you
need
want to
one
do an
more Reaver.
Exterminus.
One more Reaver if you want to do Corsair.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
I mean, honestly, because right now I have 5 Warhounds, 2 Reavers, and a Warlord, and I don't feel like restricted in my choices at all. Like I am spoiled for choice when it comes to doing whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Really is once you hit the 4 Hound, 2 Reaver, and then a big Titan, like a Warlord or a Warbringer, you're good. You can do almost anything.
Yeah. And yeah, like that box plus a box of whatever other Titan you like the look of.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be set for 95% of the games of Titanicus you'll want to play. Unless you figure out later on that like, oh, I don't really like 2 Warlords. What I want is 5 friggin' Reavers, which is also super cool.
Corsair! Yeah.
Corsair cheats and I love it.
There's a principle in Titanicus you can follow. It's ABC. Always be Corsairing.
God, do you remember the glory days when my Solaria Legio, was just Corsairing them hounds all day?
Yes.
You remember those happy times, Stephen?
Yes, we're all
Goddamn happy
traumatized.
times.
Every single person that's played against you.
It was real rude.
The worst. That's what it was. The word you're looking for is the worst.
You were playing 2D Adeptus Titanicus. I was playing 3D 40K.
Oof.
Stuff going everywhere, doing everything.
Yep. It's rough. But, yeah. That's all I have for Loyalist Legions today.
Yep, but we will, rest assured, dear listeners, have at least one more episode after we've gotten into the nuts and bolts of it all and figured out what exactly has changed, what we think of all of those changes, because for some reason our opinion matters to you. And we appreciate that. Makes us feel happy inside.
So first things first, today it came out with a new model for Malagurst, which I thought was pretty gorgeous.
Yeah, so did I. I when I first saw him, I think I said, man, that looks like plastic. And I think a lot of the internet's been saying the same thing. But Jesse, you had a great point. You were like, no,
the bolter's drilled. They'll never be plastic. They'll never be drilled bolter drills. But yeah, we also said that about Salt Tarvets too. So I don't want to be wrong by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm not holding my breath on seeing this as plastic. Though it would be great.
Yeah, it would be amazing. It would be amazing. Because I think we all are ready for another, shot, right? Like, another injection of plastic and, intravenously. So, I think that's been long overdue. So it's really cool to see a nice plastic box set for the Heresy. But
yeah, let's talk about, so our last character model was Saul Tarvitz. Then we got the Wordbearer Praetors, and now we got Malagurst. We're starting to see characters that haven't had models since the Heresy began, obviously. Like what?
Yeah, and really
10 years
iconic.
ago?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been so crazy. We talked about this too, I think, a little bit, in that I think the Horus Heresy as a system, obviously it started out with just being sort of a tack on to 40K, right?
Sure.
I think the first book was written back when
It was either
Warhammer 40K was in 6th edition.
either the end of 5th or right at the beginning of 6th, I want to say.
Yeah. And then it progressed into 7th, but, the black books are sort of seamless, right? There's no attempt to sort of do anything
Right,
crazy.
because there's no real rules per se other than the lists of the models themselves, or the unit lists. There are no, like, special rules. Well, I take that back, too, because they'll sometimes give you neat campaign rules to go with and such, but they all more or less go fairly seamlessly. I use seamlessly very loosely with the current, editions of Warhammer up until 7th edition.
Yeah, and so I think it's the longest running game system, like, sort of extant, right? Game system that has never had an edition update.
Yeah, like you could say that the Age of Darkness, when they finally came out with the official red rule book, I believe there were some slight changes from 7th edition to that. But for the most part, it was pretty much left untouched. Everything from the psychic powers to just about everything.
Yeah, I think just about everything was sort of... I think they cleaned up some of the special rules, which had, over time, become very convoluted, and this special rule and 6th edition meant this thing, and this 7... it just became crazy.
It's still a little convoluted. Let's not kid ourselves.
But yeah, I think, it's wild to me that we have... we're now 9-10 years down the road, and we sort of
still using the same source books for the most part.
Yeah.
Like I know they've updated.
They still work.
I think they've updated the red books, 5 or 6 years ago? I think when I just got into this, they had re-released new red books.
Yeah.
But like I said, not necessarily an edition change, just more like a refresh, almost like a FAQ / errata to some of it. I don't think they really drastically changed any of the models' rules.
I don't either. I think the red books were always just sort of for people that wanted the consolidated rules from the campaign books, like, in a hardbound edition.
Which at this point, it's probably been 4 or 5 books since we had a refresh of a red book. We're in dire need of one, I think.
I think we're overdue for something.
Yeah. With all the new units that have come out, with several legions out, some rules can only be gotten from, like, book 7 for if you want to play, like, Space Wolves or the Thousand Suns. You got to scrape around. If you really want a hard copy, you got to search and scrape around to find one.
It makes me wonder, like, why not just create a, like they've done for some of the other campaign books, Adeptus Titanicus, Necromunda. They just do a digital version of it, man.
A digital version would be great.
Yeah.
I think they'd probably get a lot more buyers than they would expect. I'd purchase a PDF for sure.
I love the searchability of it. At this point, I don't...
Like, I love the enhanced editions that they have for iPad, where you can just click on something and boop, you got your rules there.
God, it's beautiful. I know. Yeah, but not having to show up at, like, a con, like, right with your...
Yeah, with 30 pounds of books.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Most people at this point will just photocopy and have their pertinent information there, or have an illicit PDF, which, I'm guilty of. I bought the book, but damn it, I got my own PDF.
Yeah.
But I can't search it. But yeah, it would be great to see a refresh. I'm hoping that this summer we see a resurgence. Because at Games Workshop, every summer they have a big release. And it may be with Horus Heresy. It might be a stretch to see the Horus Heresy as the major summer release. But we could also see maybe a winter release. That's also kind of their...
Well, I think we've seen some clues, right? And I don't want to become like, the town crier for this, but, I do think
people have raised around the internet have raised good points.
Yeah, we've sort of seen the re-SKUing, right? The skewing of some of the Horus Heresy line from Forge World. So some of the stuff that's, no longer available online, we think, is just getting an update to their SKU codes so that they can track the stockage levels of those and the sale level of those a little.
As the Horus Heresy as opposed to just 40K.
Exactly.
Because if you haven't seen that Leaky Cheese video, for the longest time, Horus Heresy models and Warhammer 40K models all shared the same, more or less, code on their SKU. And until very recently, with the Arcwitter Bombard, I want to say, the Heresy now has its own separate code. Just as like Adeptus Titanicus has its own separate SKU, or Necromunda, or Aeronautica Imperialis.
Yeah, exactly. And the argument goes, why would you do that if they were no longer going to support Heresy, right? So clearly it's a sign that Heresy is still going to be supported going forward. It's going to be a thing. And hopefully good things to come, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know why they would do a dispatch, right? So the Warcom, the Warhammer community article today was, it was pitched as a regular thing going forward. We don't have like the interval of that. I would assume it's monthly, like the Necromunda Informant, or the Adeptus Titanicus Engine Kill articles, that it would be like a regular monthly thing going forward. So I do think they've built some steam behind this. I think that we'll see more Heresy leaks and information going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say, the way I was reading it, the way they had the Legion Dispatch, and I don't mean to be mean, but it's very written in a very monotone type of writing that's usually unusual for the rest of their Warhammer community articles, where they usually write with a lot of vig and vigor. I don't see a single goddamn exclamation point in this entire post. It's really, welcome to Legion Dispatch, the first in a regular series of articles where we'll show off new models for the Horus Heresy, period. First up, we have Malagursa Twisted, the infamous equerry to Horus himself, period.
It's like they twisted some intern's arm, right, to get him to write this. It's like, no, man, you got to write this thing. Oh, okay.
Yeah. But they managed to throw in a few puns and jokes here, and with asterisks at the bottom. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's weighty material, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, whereas like sort of Necromunda, it's always been tongue in cheek. It just, that's where it comes from. It comes from a place of very sort of, it's just over the top.
40K, you want to get the kids excited. And I'd say kids. People of all ages play 40K. Let's not fool ourselves. I'm not fooling myself.
Yeah.
But it's a certain, yeah.
Yeah, there's a gravitas to the Heresy, and it's because of Alan Bly and the folks that started it. I really do think it's got a weight to it that doesn't translate easily into the Warcom articles. You know what I mean? Yeah.
What do you want to see if there's a Age of Darkness 2.0?
Oh, wow. That's a loaded question. I think we talked a little bit about this too in our podcast chat. Is that I think one of the things that really appealed to me about the Heresy when it first started is that it was very balanced, and it was balanced because we all sort of had the same pieces to play with, right? I mean, you were basically playing the same army list with a couple nuances. Whatever legion you wanted, or whatever legion attracted you, whether it be the first or the third, but the first didn't really have rules, right? But whether it was Emperor's Children or the Iron Warriors, whatever, I mean, you were essentially playing the same army list. With a couple of cool, mostly flavor rules. So you won or lost on the tabletop based on your tactics, and then obviously the luck of the dice.
Sure.
It wasn't like 40K, which had become so vastly complex that you had net list builds that would crop up daily or weekly. You had the meta, and it was just it sort of, I mean, that was such a turnoff for me, at least, that you had to go out on the internet to get a net list build so that you could bring something to the table and not just lose, right?
Yeah, or just being able to get a good idea of what your opponent was playing. I guess that also just comes with time and experience. But for me, I pretty much started with Horus Heresy. Like, I bought a few 40K models when I first got into it, but I got in with the group here and immediately started playing Heresy as my main game before really taking off with 40K. But on the table, for the most part, you saw what your opponent was bringing, and you had a rough idea of, okay, this is the stuff they have. I know what that is. But
well, yeah, because you had it in
right.
your, maybe not in your list, but you had it in your inventory, back home, and so I think that made it a simpler game to understand, and I think it made it a really fun and intuitive game to play.
Yeah, like
over
you said,
time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, over time, we're now 10 years into the Heresy, right? So we've got the Mechanicum, we've got just so many wildly different factions. Now we've got the Demons of the Ruinstorm, just a 180. And it's so...
The Dark Angels, let's be honest, they have 6 rights of war. They play so drastically different. So, like the Thousand Suns, they play almost like a completely separate army to some extent.
So I mean, this might be naive, but you asked me what I wanted from Heresy 2.0. Yeah. So I think I just want to rebalance. I want them to go back and sort of just level the playing field. I still want things to have their flavor and their character, but I just think maybe we're overdue for. And it can be done through points. It can be done. Right? We have the Talons of the Emperor, for God's sake. Oh my God!
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, how many times have we complained about the Talons?
Then they completely redid the points for them.
Yes,
in Book 8, which was surprising to some extent. I gotta admit.
I agree
that they would go through all that trouble to rewrite the Talons instead of just putting an FAQ out.
Absolutely.
Not even the town. They just did the custodians. They left the sisters just as is. They just completely rewrote the custodians.
which was really the problem. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
the sisters were fine. But yeah, I think we're overdue a total rebalance of points, rules, etc. I don't want to lose any of the granularity. I don't want to lose any of the crunch. I love the crunch, but I don't want to have to go out to the internet and be like, hey man,
so
am I supposed to, yeah.
I'd agree with that to an extent, but the problem is the cat is already out of the bag.
I know.
My army now has, 6 rights of war, 5 or 6 different special units. If we want to rebalance it, we'd have to bring everybody else up to that level, I think. Which I'd be perfectly fine with. I would love to see every Legion get the same love that the Dark Angels did.
Yeah.
But that would also get so crazy.
Well, the more I think about it, it's maybe that's what Centurion really is, right? I mean, you have different systems within the Age of Darkness, Horus Heresy. You have different ways of building a list and playing. I mean, Centurion sort of is that harken back to the early days, right? And so maybe we'll see some of that. Maybe we'll see a version of the Heresy where you can only bring early day Space Marines. I don't know. I don't really know what I want from the Heresy, Jesse. What do you want from the Heresy?
Well, I did kind of touch on that, and it's going to take a little bit, obviously, but all the Legions getting like the same rule set as the Dark Angels to some degree. Because now it's almost embarrassing how much stuff we have compared to, let's say, some of the Book 1 and Book 2 Legions. But some things I think can be simplified to some extent, like the cover system. Tanks, I do like tank facing. I don't necessarily want to get rid of tank facing for sure, but honestly, we could probably fix it to a front armor and then everything else, and that would significantly speed up everything. I guess I should have an answer myself when I ask questions like that.
Yeah, I think the speed of play it can be an issue, but I don't think it has to be. I think games can have different places, and If you want to play a fast game, you just play smaller points. To me, I think the appeal of a game like Horus Heresy is getting to it. Well, first there's the hobby aspect of it, of building a legion or whatever your faction is over time, adding to it a unit at a time. I think there's a tremendous appeal to hobbyists for that. And then but if you put it on the table, it's a long game. It's not Necromunda. It's not Adeptus Titanicus. It's a long game with a lot of rules. And I don't necessarily know if you should make it a shorter, quicker game, because we have that.
That's fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we have like Kill Team or things like that.
Yeah.
I wonder, because this became pretty popular when 8th edition came out, was separating the game into different aspects, like narrative-driven story mode versus like the very point-specific tournament mode. I can't remember what it's called. Competitive, I want to say. I wonder if we'll see something of that nature. Because... well,
there's open play, there's match play, and then there's narrative, right?
That's right.
Open play is like to bring what you have, and it's a very easy point system where you don't actually have to go in and add war gear point by point. I feel like the Heresy has always been narrative. I feel like if you're not playing it with a narrative arc, I don't know.
I do like the granularity of the point system that we have in Horus Heresy to some degree. Why Volkite are 7 points and completely fuck up my 2,000 point list? Thanks.
Yeah.
But I honestly wouldn't mind seeing something that's similar to like Power Level, where I could just go through my list real quick and just have 50 power level versus 50 power level and not worry specifically about exactly which guns I'm taking and just go to town. I feel like it is possible. They've shown it is possible with Warhammer 40k right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you want
to be able
to just
events and stuff, for sure, have the full point list load out.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Forge World guys have talked about this for a long time. They've probably thought about it for a long time. Honestly, what I think we're going to see, I think we're going to see maybe one more campaign book. I think, we'll have to get dark. Yeah, we'll have to get Dark Mechanicum. I mean, really, it would be a shame if we didn't. We'll get Dark Mechanicum, and I think they're going to put a bow on it. I think they're going to put a ribbon on it. I think we may get a 7.5, because what we have right now, it's not 7.5.
It's like 7.1.
Yeah, it's just cleaned up some special rules. I'd be happy with a 7.5 and a ribbon on Heresy. Make it a boutique system. So don't change the scale of the models. Just all the models are the same. But if you really love the Heresy and you want to just keep playing the way you've always played, cool. Here's your book. See ya. Have fun. We're not going to mess with your models. We're not going to mess with the model size.
Yeah.
But here's a whole nother way to play that's more like maybe what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with the books and stuff, I've mentioned before, if they went to like a release schedule similar to Titanicus, where every quarter or every 6 months they come out with a small book with a few new rules for the entire game, some new war gear and stuff, I'd be happy with that. Yeah. Even if it was not as robust as some of the black books are. I could stand having just, a slow, steady stream stuff.
Yeah, I just don't know if Forge World has got the bandwidth for that. It's never been their repertoire. They've never been the rules guys. They've been the background guys and the cool model guys and the sort of the brain trust. They've just they've never been the rules guys. It's almost like they don't want to be the rules guys, right? It's like, man, we don't do that. We make really cool models with really good background, and like our rules are going to be bad. We're going to make bad rules.
We leave that to Games Workshop. It's in their name, Games Workshop.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a badge of honor. Where do you get these rules? One of them is just going to be totally. We're going to just leave stuff out.
We will write a shit ton of lore, but
yeah, it's remember the custode, the profile, and they had that really cool knife. It was called like the Misericord or something. And then like people were like, "Wait, it's war gear, but it has no points and it has no stats." Right? For the longest time, people
what the hell is it?
Yeah, why? And it just drove people crazy. And I feel like they did that on purpose. Just
then the FAQ came out. It's like it has no use.
Yeah,
it's like,
just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man,
it's funny.
It is.
But yeah, eventually Horus Heresy Epic's going to come out.
Yeah,
that's just a given at this point. I think it's just a matter of eventuality. So.
Yeah,
which you could say that with a lot of Games Workshop games and just say it's all a matter of eventuality. Plastic Sisters of Battle, squat models here and there, new Epic. I will say expect new Battlefleet Gothic sometime in the future. That's only a matter of time.
Yeah, sometime in the next decade.
Yeah.
They've got so much intellectual property that they can just call up anytime they need to. I mean, it's wild. It's like people are like, well, why haven't we seen a new Primarch in 40K? And it's like, dude, because they don't need to. Right? Like, dude, they made so much. They took that to the bank, And it's just, there's no need to reawaken a new Primarch or call Russ back from the Eye of Terror. Or they just don't have to. Or find out where Perturabo is. Like, that is intellectual gold that they have for 10 years down the road when they're like, man, we're not doing so good. Let's break out a Primarch. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But yeah, like, man, they do have some demon Primarchs now. Let's see. They have Magnus. They have Mortarion.
Yep.
Do they have one more?
No. Not that I know of.
I feel like there's another one out there, but I could be wrong. But anyway. Yeah, it's all just a matter of time. I wouldn't be surprised if, depending on how the siege goes, where we'll see rules for the demon Primarchs too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think if we get to the siege,
yeah. But I could see them roll up rules for Demon Angron pretty easy. You can honestly just run Demons of the Ruined Storm and pull some rules out of that and make your own Demon Angron if you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. Make your demon Fulgrim. That's why you think there's a demon. That's because Caro made that awesome Fulgrim conversion. That's why you think there's a third demon.
I just got to make her paint it.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I mean, I think, when we get to the siege, then all things are possible. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if we're going to get there. I don't know. I don't think the Horus Heresy Black Books will I don't know. I'd be wildly thrilled if they did. God, that's so much ground to cover.
I could see a Horus Heresy epic or a Siege of Terra epic.
Yeah.
You can get that pretty easily in that mindset of just battalions of soldiers just throwing themselves at the walls.
I think it works better.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the scale of it works better in Epic for them to tell the story. Yeah.
Yeah, because like in most of the Horus Heresy, what I get from it is large mass battles, but I don't see them lining up in the fields like an Epic army and just rolling up on each other. A lot of it is cloak and dagger or just tactical stuff that you don't really see in a rank and file type of.
Yeah, punitive strikes, spearhead strikes, right?
Right.
It's not the grind of a Beta Garmin or the grind of Terra. I mean, yeah, most of the compliance actions, let's be honest, they were fought against baseline human forces that did not come close. I mean, so it was like a company of Adeptus Astartes, right? With some support. Just rolling them up, like in a week. So, yeah, I think those massed battles, I think were actually fairly rare. Even in the Heresy, I think they were fairly rare.
Yeah, but I don't know, I'm pretty excited for times up ahead. Curious to see what else they have with the Horus Heresy dispatch, or the Legion dispatch, excuse me.
Yeah, me too. Excited. I'm excited to see it get a little bit of, a little shot,
Yeah.
So, cool, man.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. Thanks for talking.
And as always, like to thank our patrons who support us with this endeavor, which we greatly appreciate. Starting with our Legion Praetors, Alex Self, Chris Mack, Jacob Dillon, Garner.Tree of Woe, Joe from Music City Heresy, Luke Rizzuto, Matthew Boyce, Mr. Baldwick, Nicholas Quenga, and Sar Luther. Our Legion Centurions, Aaron Maynard, Andrew N., Angry Boy, Duncan, John Christensen, M. Tanzer, Queen Corswain, Scott LeMay, and the original Applesauce. And finally, our Legion Sergeants Agrippina, Emily O'Hare, Garrett Lowe, Gorkrow, Mr. Sear, Nick Gillen, The Zoy, and What Do I Call Myself? And if you enjoy our episodes and would like to become a patron, go over to patreon.com/RR30K podcast. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at RR30K podcast. Our Instagram is remembrancers_retreat. You can go over to rr30k.com. That is our official website, where you can also find the Battlefleet Heresy Compendium, where if you're enjoying Battlefleet Gothic and would like to play in the Age of Darkness, we have the supplement homebrewed just for you.
Yep, and one more thing
Yes.
before we go. If you haven't gotten the emails already, and you are a fan of the Nova Open, as you know, for 2 years in a row now, once in 2020, once in 2021, our beloved Nova Open has been canceled. And that puts a lot of strain on them financially because they rely on the actual event itself to make their operating costs for the next year. The first year, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people donated their registration fees to the foundation to try and keep it up and running, and that worked for a year. But we don't have that luxury this year, so instead, they have a GoFundMe, which you can find just by Googling Nova Open GoFundMe.
And I'll put a link on our pages as well.
It'll be in the show notes. But that is the way that they are trying to make sure that they're able to keep this going. I think they're... what is their goal? I'm trying to remember. It's like $200,000. Yeah, it's $200,000. They're currently sitting at $6,900. Just getting ready to scratch 7,000. But for as many people as go to the Nova Open, which is well over 300, I think, what did they say? It's like 3,500 last time.
That's a true number. It is indeed much more than 300 people attend the Nova Open.
Yes, 3,500 are reasonable and foreseeable as a third quarter post-pandemic 2022.
Yeah, they were scratching almost 5,000, I want to say, at 2019.
Yeah,
if not more.
Tons.
It was.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, but
it was
for an
nerds.
expected 3,500 attendance or attendees, $7,000 really isn't a lot.
Yeah.
And if they don't make this goal, it is unlikely that we'll ever be able to go back to Nova for an open. So if that is something that you enjoy, that is something you care about, if you are even extently interested in the fact that they do charity work, go and donate, even if it's not a lot.
Yeah, and not to like poo-poo some of the other big events that aren't charity events, but if you're going to give your money to somebody to keep them in business, it might as well be the ones that are trying to like cure children,
be charitable,
children's cancer and like that sort of shit. Just saying.
Yeah. So again, the link to it's going to be in the show notes. But if you've got a spare $20, if you've got a spare $10, if you've got a spare $5,
yeah. If you've got a spare like $1.50, I think it takes $1 in servicing charges. So there's no point in giving less than that. But like whatever you got, man.
It all helps, and I'm sure they will appreciate it. And you will appreciate it, too, if you get to go to Nova.
It's always a good time.
It's always a good time.
A lot of good memories there.
But that's my soapbox.
Thanks for sharing.
I am a giver. I'm a river to my people.
All right, and with that, I think we'll call it another episode of the Remembrancers Retreat. Once again, thank you all so much for listening. And until next time, keep those dice rolling. Bye for now.
We'll see you later.
Bye.